So I'd like you to please give a wonderful warm welcome to Emma Kolar.
So the theme legends really inspired me to think about what does a legend mean to me? Who could that be? So I got world leaders, we've got Shakespeare, we've got Columbo, people who have come into this world and left it a better place than they found it. But then I thought, no, fuck it, I'm going to talk to you about wrestling. And specifically, World Wrestling Federation wrestling from the 1990s, from when I was about 8 onwards. These guys were my legends. These were my worlds. I loved wrestling. So I mean WWF, World Wrestling Federation, because the Panda people, the World Wildlife Fund in 2000 sued and got the WWF acronym back. So the Panda people are now WWF, and wrestling is now World Wrestling Entertainment. And there's no real reason for me to tell you that boring bit of info apart from that image. I just like it. So I was obsessed for years with wrestling. So I asked my parents, can I have some pictures of when I was a kid? I'd like to show the nice people of Bettakultcha. And there aren't any. Apparently none exist, so I can only assume they don't love me, so I drew myself. And that's what I looked like as a child obsessed with wrestling. And that's me all growing up. I got married to a guy also obsessed with wrestling growing up, and that's little wrestling effigies on top of our wrestling ring cake there. You can see we're dedicated. And so I was like, what can I talk about? So what I remember specifically from the 90s was not thinking that stupid things like men dressed as clowns was weird. So it is weird, but I didn't think it was. So the gimmicks that they gave these people to wrestle as was clowns. There was the gobbledygook who was hatched out of an egg. There was the repo man who used to steal stuff from around the ring. Gangrel used to split blood on people coming up to the ring. And the very homoerotic, all about the thighs, Mr. Brutus the Barber Beefcake down in the corner there. So these guys were like the silly, silly gimmicks. And then these guys were like the ones that transcended the stupid gimmicks and were just great. So you got like Stone Cold and The Rock and The Undertaker. The Undertaker had a silly gimmick, didn't matter, he's just awesome. And then there was the kind of dodgy territory of the kind of racially insensitive, downright to the very, very racist of like, not even Japanese, not Japanese, is Samoan. And Kamala, a black guy, led to the ring by his keeper every match. Who thought that was okay? So in wrestling, if you want to make someone a bad guy, just make them foreign. And that was a 90s rule. So if you want to make a good guy who's American, a bad guy, then just have them hang out with someone who was foreign. So that's what they did with Sergeant Slaughter. One of my favorite matches of all time was the jailhouse match with the big boss man and the Mountie. Mountie was obviously the bad guy because he's foreign. And he used to electrocute people with this big cattle prod. He obviously spent the night in jail that night because that happened. And one of the other matches that I really remember was the feud between Jake the Snake Roberts and the Macho Man Randy Savage. That is actually a snake biting the Macho Man down there. That actually happened. Someone also thought that that was fine. Health and safety wasn't invented in the 90s. And then as they realized that their watchers were getting kind of older, they wanted something a bit more edgy, went into the Attitude Era, did things with guns, like that's Brian Pillman there with a gun for some reason. And the biggest icon of this era was Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he would come out every week and he'd have a feud with his boss, Vince McMahon, and he would send him to the hospital, chase him to the hospital, beat him up in the hospital, and he would fill his car full of cement and stuff like that. And the other thing that I really remember from the Attitude Era was things like the match between The Undertaker and Mick Foley. I really wanted to be a wrestler when I was young, and people used to tell me that it was fake, which it kind of is, but he's really falling from that ring, and that is really his tooth coming out from below his nose right there. Can't fake that. Kind of glad that I wasn't a wrestler because these are some of my favorites, some of the great wrestlers. None of these people made 50 years old. Some of them didn't even make 40 years old. All kind of wrestling, drug, heart-related problems, all quite sad, really. Another reason why I'm glad I didn't become a wrestler is because I'm a female and not really respected in the wrestling era, especially back in the 90s where you were either ring candy, even if you were an awesome wrestler, you were still just there for horrible people like Jerry Lawler to kind of look at you. Weird, it's horrible. So wrestling life lessons, what did I learn? So there is never an inappropriate time to wear Lycra. None of your actions ever have consequences. And if you ever get in a fight, your opponent will get in the exact same position that you need them to. And every man should have a catchphrase. Some of my favorites on $1 Million Man was, everybody's got a price. Repo Man was, what's mine is mine, what's yours is mine too. Bret the Hitman Hart, the excellence of execution. come on everybody, everyone knows these last three. So what you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? And there was also a couple of others there. So oh yeah, and Ric Flair was woo! So I think the most legendary moment ever to happen in wrestling was when Stone Cold Steve Austin stunned Donald Trump in the middle of the ring, knocked him out cold, and I think everyone can agree with that. So thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you can see others on the Bettakultcha YouTube channel. Subscribe now and you'll be notified when new ones are uploaded.